At the end of Halo 3, in the Forward Unto Dawn, Chief drifted off into unknown space and, eventually, about 4 years later, was awoken by Cortana when they arrived on Requiem. But what happened during 2553 and 2557? What happened during the fallout of the Covenant being defeated? Well, a lot changed in the galaxy that was simply not explained in the games, at least sufficiently. So today we're going to go over what happened while Chief was in Cryo for 4 years during Halo 3 and Halo 4. Let's get into it. So we humans got our royal butts whooped big time by the Human Covenant War, with about 23 billion people dying during battles and invasions and other things, along with countless lost planets and infrastructure throughout the galaxy. So during the time of relative peace, the UNSC and humanity sought out to rebuild, with the help of all foreigner artifacts and technology that was able to be studied and explored. This rebuilding phase went very rapidly. In a matter of a couple years, the humans were able to go from almost being completely wiped out to becoming the leading civilization in the known galaxy. But this was not without plenty of setbacks and challenges. So after Halo 3 and the Covenant was destroyed, you would think that people would stop fighting each other after getting destroyed by the Covenant invasion. But of course, this was not the case, and insurrectionists returned with a vengeance, and there still remained a constant insurrectionist rebel force throughout the outer colonies, and that would of course still cause trouble for the UNSC and ONI. One of the more notable acts of human violence was when a plot was put into place to capture and hold the UNSC ship Infinity hostage. Luckily, a new Spartan program was put into service during this timeline, and they were able to take back the ship. Succeeding in doing so, and officially starting active service, was the new batch of the elite soldiers, Spartan 4s. Sometime between Halo 3 and Halo 4, the original Spartan creator, Dr. Halsey, was classified as a war criminal for her actions as she took kidnapped children and turned them into war machines, into Spartans, such as John 117, such as Blue Team and the Spartan 2s, and so on. ONI placed a warrant out for her arrest, but little did they know, at that time, the Doctor was stuck in a foreigner shield world named Onyx. Eventually, along with the group of Spartans and soldiers, she was found, and Halsey was placed into captivity. Although the war was over for the most part, the political alliance with humanity and the elites still remained to be volatile. While the Arbiter and his followers worked closely with humans to establish a respectable relationship, there was still plenty of ex-Covenant who were not so easily going to accept this. Naturally, this made those at ONI very concerned. So, like any good agency, they issued the creation of Kilo 5, a covert special missions team that would be used to create conflict and feuds within the existing elite and ex-Covenant factions. Thinning out the enemies without even having to fight them is pretty impressive, although this is ONI that we're talking about. After the war, Velvedom returned to Synchelios not as the Arbiter, but as a powerful and inspiring leader to those on Synchelios, and got many to give up the Covenant's ways and live in a state of peace with the humans. And those who opposed him soon created rebellions that led constant strikes against the Arbiter and his followers, and of course this created conflict for years. The tide was so big that this actually created a civil war of sorts within the elites that lasted all the way till the events of Halo 5 Guardians, until the last large remaining Covenant faction was destroyed. There was a moment where the Arbiter nearly lost control of the elite homeworld of Synchelios, but the fast action of the UNSC and the crew of the Infinity coming to the rescue and halted any advances on the Arbiter's claim as the Syncheli leader. Leading up to the events between Halo 3 and 4 to Halo 4, Jumadama learned the existence of the Didact, and how this mysterious foreigner had access to fleets and armies that no one in the galaxy could stop. Jul hurried to Hesduros, an elite-occupied planet, and began to recruit as many members as he could to his newfound cause. This was the beginning of the New Covenant, nicknamed the Storm Faction or the Covenant Remnants, as we players got to fight in Halo 4 and Halo 5. Other elites also hopped on the bandwagon of creating their own versions of the Covenant, but none were able to successfully build an army and a following like that of Jumadama. The time between Halo 3 and Halo 4 was overall dominated by humans in Sigili, with other species of the Covenant unable to rebuild a respectable and powerful society in years post-war. But this doesn't mean that other races simply vanished. So the thing about the Brutes, which we're going to discuss now, is that they as a species, as a civilization, were only held together by the Covenant. Yeah. So before they were inducted into the Covenant cult, they were on the brink of an all-out war and destruction within their people and homeworld. And right after the Covenant split apart, the Brutes went back to their primitive ways and functions of society and fighting. They were splintered into several factions, all with their own agendas built out of greed and power. The most notable of these factions that turned up was that of the Banished. Although they were created before the fall of the Covenant, it is important to mention that this is a brute force, and the Banished might have a pivotal role to play in Halo 6 and in the future of Halo. Now let's discuss the Grunts. The Ungoi were always better suited to serve others, but when the war ended, they found a new appreciation for respect and power emerged within the Grunt society. They came back together as a species and as a civilization, and while large numbers still wished to serve other aliens' races' cause, such as the Covenant and all the Grunts that we killed in Halo 4 and 5, for example, there was still a large percent of Grunts who went back to their homeworld and began to rebuild. So now let's discuss the Jackals. Once a pirate, always a pirate, and this is the story of the Kig-Yar. With no one telling the Jackals what to do, they mostly made up their minds on what to kill or who to steal from. Some did become mercenaries and join up with ex-Covey factions, but freedom is the way of this race, and most went to operate on their own agendas. There was one particular Jackal who wanted to be something more than a space criminal. The shipmaster attempted to unite Jackals under one banner in order to grow and protect their homeworld, but unfortunately, few Kig-Yar joined this cause, as it was simply against their nature to join forces. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to drop this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notifications bell, and let me know what you found most interesting that happened between Halo 3 and Halo 4, even if it wasn't mentioned here. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.